Alrighty, today we're going to be talking about Texas impresarios. We're going to talk about what it is, who these people were, and what they contributed to the settlement of Texas. So I'm going to pass out a guided note sheet for y'all to do. Just go through the presentation. It should all be in order. Just go along with it. All the answers are on there.
Thank you.
So this little presentation is going to be broken up into two parts. We're going to do this for the first part, and the second part we're going to have a graphic organizer to do. So I'll go slow for y'all, just fill in the blanks on the sheet. It's not for a grade, we're just going to go over it to make sure everyone's on the same page. Same with the graphic organizer, then we're going to study it, and then take a little quiz at the end. Alright, so what is an impresario? Well, an impresario was a land agent appointed by the Mexican government to sell land in Texas. The United States entered into a contract with the Mexican government to settle a certain number of families in Texas in exchange for sizable grants of land. So basically, an impresario is kind of like a recruiter. They're trying to recruit people to come to this area. So these people came to Mexico, well, Spain first, and then Mexico later claimed its independence. But they came to the Mexican government to try to be an impresario, and they have to approve you first before you can do anything. So once they approve you, you have to agree on a certain number of families to bring in into the new area. So why did Americans come to Texas? Well, Spain first opened Texas to Americans in 1820, 1 year before Mexico claimed independence from Spain. And the traditional policy was not to allow foreigners in its territory, but Spain was unable to persuade its own citizens to move to Texas. So as you can see, they did not want Americans or anybody else to come into their land, but they couldn't get their own people to come, so they really didn't have a choice. So that's why these people, when they came to the Mexican government to be an impresario, this is kind of the pitches that they use to get people to come here. So, as of today, anybody wants land, right? Land is a big thing, and as you can see, many people were willing to come for the cheap and abundant land. 1 acre in the United States was $1.25, compared to 1 acre in Texas was 4 to 12 cents. So do the math on that. If, say, 10 cents an acre in Texas, you could get 12 acres compared to 1 in America. So that's a pretty good deal, wouldn't you think? So the next thing, many people were going to establish permanent farming and ranching communities from this mass amount of land. So people saw opportunity. They could come over, it's cheap, they could establish a farm or a ranch, they're going to make money. I mean, all the opportunities are there. And then the last thing, some people were just trying to escape their problems that they had in the United States, whether it was crime, bad luck, they saw it as a fresh start. And some people were just seeking adventure and personal gain. It was the unknown. They really didn't know what was out there, and they were curious. They wanted to see what was going on. So reasons for allowing American settlement. So like I said earlier, the original plan was they did not want foreigners to come to Texas. So the reason why is they couldn't persuade their own people, and that's because the Mexicans did not want to live so far away from Mexico City. They woke up, they had their jobs and support their family, and it was a long way. Think back then all they had was horses, so you could imagine how long of a trip that was from Mexico City to Texas. Also, they were uncomfortable with the unknown. They didn't know what was out there, if they were going to make it or not. They were comfortable with their lives, And then also, they didn't want to live near the hostile Native Americans. There was fear there. They were scared that if they went, they were going to get killed, their family was going to get killed. So there was really no reason for them to go. So all in all, that's why the Mexican government didn't really have a choice. They needed someone to hold down the land, because if no one's there, there could be people trying to take it, and that could start wars and stuff. So that's why they had people from America come down. So there's also requirements for settling in Texas. So the people who came to the Mexican government to become an impresario, they signed the contract and promised a certain amount of families to come. Well, with these promises, they had to convince people to come with these requirements. If you wanted to come to this territory, you had to become a citizen of the country. Also, you had to become Catholic, and you also had to be a good moral character. So, as you can see, many people still came because of these reasons, or not because of these reasons, but because the land was so cheap. They were willing to sacrifice becoming a citizen of this country, becoming Catholic, and having to be a good person because they saw opportunity. Land, cattle, making money opportunities. And so now I want y'all to take some time to finish filling this out. I'll give y'all a couple of minutes and then we'll go over it to make sure everyone's on the same page before we go on to the next thing. The reason why because they didn't want to go just because they were afraid of this people attacking them. Alright, so let's go over it. Alright, we'll just go down the row. I want you to just read a sentence or two. Please start.
A person who is a land agent appointed by the Mexican government to sell land as an impresario.
The United States entered into a contract with the Mexican government to settle a certain number of families in Texas in exchange for sizable grants of land.
Many people wanted to come to Texas because land was so cheap.
With this land, many people were going to be establishing farming ranches communities with these huge grants of land.
Some people were just escaping the problems they were facing in the United States.
Spain and Mexico's original plan there was for beginners coming to their land.
But Mexico.
But Mexico had no choice because the Mexicans didn't want to be away from Mexico. They were afraid of the Native Americans attacking them, and they needed someone to hold down their land.
I'm sorry, I don't know what we are.
There were some requirements.
There's some requirements for the I can't pronounce them.
Impresarios.
Each impresario would sign a contract with the government of Mexico
Whereby
whereby they promised to settle a certain number of families.
You would have to become a citizen of your new country.
Spain and then Mexico. You had to become Catholic and you had to be a good moral character.
Good, good. So now in the second part, we're going to talk about who these impresarios were and what they contributed to with the settlement of Texas. So just fill in the blanks on the second part. Alright, important impresarios. You had Moses Austin, Stephen Austin, Erasmus Gwynn, Martin de Leon, and Green DeWitt. And that's who we'll start talking about. Alright, so Moses Austin. He was a man from Missouri running a lead mine, a lead mine. He ended up losing his fortune and decided to come to Texas. So he had a pretty good business he was doing and ended up losing everything he had. So he really didn't have a choice, so he decided to come to Texas. He traveled 800 miles, and Spanish officials were a little suspicious of him at first. And this is when everything's just starting to come up, impresarios as an idea. So Spain was a little eerie at first. They didn't know whether to accept him. But he was originally rejected, but with some help from some people, he eventually was accepted and his work began. He was really the first impresario and decided to try to recruit colonists to locate in Texas because he figured that was the best way for him to make money to pay off the debts he owed in America. And his plan was to bring in 300 families from the United States into Texas to begin a colony. But before he could really get started, he unfortunately passed away. But right before he passed away, he told his son about his dream. So Stephen F. Austin's the son of Moses Austin. I really don't know what he was. I think he was trying to be a lawyer, but I know it was something in the legal career. But he ended up dropping those plans and went to Texas to fulfill his father's wishes and carry out his plans. He is known as the father of Texas. And going back to the beginning.
Good morning, Bert Burnett. Miss Brenda
class is still collecting cans for Grace Ministries to be delivered just in time for Thanksgiving. Bring your unopened and undamaged cans to your second period teacher. The class that collects the most cans will win an activity period pizza party.
We have extended our time frame to end Thursday, November 16th during activity period. Right now, Mrs. Zergoza is in the lead with 63 cans. Don't miss out on a chance to keep your community out. Thanks for your help.
I see 90 to beat.
Oh, my bad.
Alrighty, so back from the beginning of the presentation, the requirements: you had to become a citizen, become a Catholic, and be a good person. So Austin knew all this, and he knew that the colonies depended on the character of the colonist. So when he went on his recruiting trips, that was the main thing he looked for, was if they're a good person. And they were willing to become Catholic, and they were also going to pledge their loyalty to Spain and later Mexico. So Austin, he did a very good job of bringing families in. He was the families he brought in were known as the Old 300. And he kind of rigged the system with the Spanish officials. Whenever he worked out a deal, he made a deal where every man who came from him would receive 640 acres for the husband, 320 acres for the wife, and 160 acres for each child, and 80 acres for each slave. So as you can see, if you just have a mom, dad, and a son, that's over 1,000 acres for free. So you can imagine people are going to take that deal. So he kind of rigged the system there, which, I mean, he was in the legal career field, so I'm sure he had some tricks up his sleeve. But think about that. He ended up bringing in 300 families. So that is a lot of land that he gave to people. He established his little capital / town on the west bank of the Brazos River, and it was named San Felipe de Austin in 1824. San Felipe de Austin in 1824. So the reason why this colony prospered so much was because of his great leadership. He made sure everyone was following the rules. They were pledging their loyalty, becoming Catholic, and just being a good person. And with all this land he gave to his people that he brought over, I guarantee you there was a lot of good money-making opportunities, so that's why it prospered so well. The next guy is Erasmo Seguin. He was a citizen and politician in San Antonio de Bexar. A lot of people don't give him enough credit. Everyone gives Stephen F. Austin credit, which he deserves it, but I don't think it would have went as smoothly as it did if not for this guy's help. He assisted Stephen F. Austin in helping choose the land for the first colony of American settlers in Texas. So he knew where the best place to put them at, and I think that's what helped Austin out tremendously. And once Mexico achieved independence from Spain, he was the sole representative from Texas to the Constitutional Convention, and he was a major influence in the addition of a general colonization provision. The next guy, Martin de Leon, he was a native of Mexico. He did a lot to promote the cattle industry in Texas. He established the town Victoria in 1824 and brought in 41 families. And Victoria was also an important trade center between Mexico and Texas. So he did a lot for the territory of Texas. He promoted the cattle industry, so he had cheap land. He was starting up the cattle industry, more money-making opportunities, and set up a trade center between Mexico and Texas to exchange goods. So as you can see, the economy was doing very well in this area, so he did a really good job on that.
With the one before this, Southern Boston, what year was it founded?
No, 1824. 1824.
What was the capital too? What was the capital?
San Felipe de Austin. So the last guy is Green DeWitt. He established the town Gonzales in 1824, or 25, the town Gonzales, 1825. He settled 400 industrious Catholic families next to Austin's colony, and he was very successful in a number of families, but the colony struggled badly. The reason why the colony struggled badly was they say he wasn't the best leader, and also there were some hardships he faced. The land he was at was not the best for growing crops, and there was drought, so that really affected their economy in this area. But all in all, he did bring over 400 industrious Catholic families, so he did his job fairly well, I guess, but he did struggle with hardships, and that kind of hurt a little bit. So was the impresarios successful? So going all the way back to the beginning, Spain and later on Mexico, they wanted this territory in Texas to boom. They wanted it colonized. And before the impresarios arrived, there was around 7,000 people. After they arrived, there's 22,000. So it tripled in size in a matter of 5 to 8 years. And that's a lot of people in that time. After impresarios came, there are now 7+ major cities in Texas. The cattle industry was starting to boom, and a trade center was built for trade with Mexico. So, as you can see, tripled in size, more major cities, economy was formed, crops, cattle industry, so everything was booming, and I think they were pretty successful. So, we'll finish the graphic organizer, go over it for a minute or two, and then we'll go over it together, and then we'll review for the quiz after. All right?
How do you spell the cat?
How do you spell it?
I couldn't understand food.
Are you still recording?
She's not, definitely not.
How many cans?
Right here.
Yeah, boy. Oh, well, sorry, didn't mean to see each other. Is that still radical feminist? Because I saw it. Said, I'm legit.
Leave those going.
How do they have so many cans going? Like 8.
Yeah, we had 7. We had
Y'all
8.
make sure y'all are looking over this.
Yeah, it's about 6. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
7. Wait.
What? What?
Mike, this way, do you know, like, how much did the younger boys get in and the whites?
Alrighty, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go down and answer the questions. So the name of the impresario is Stephen F. Austin. That's answered for you. So what town or capital was founded?
San Felipe de Austin.
Good. Year it was founded.
1824.
And then he brought in 300 families. Name of the next impresario?
Martin de
Hold on. We're going to go down a little bit.
Martin de Leon.
Martin de Leon. And he founded Victoria, and it was founded in what year? Good.
There were 41 families that were around.
Good. The next impresario?
Queen Louis.
Good. And he founded
$10.
in 1825, and how many families did he bring in?
400.
Good. So now, y'all partner up. Y'all three partner up, and then y'all two partner up.
Wait, who's
Y'all two?
Hey, get it. I don't
Y'all
know what's
two?
happening.
Hold on. Y'all two, y'all two, y'all two, y'all two, y'all three.
Oh, it's Tyler.
Look over the guided note sheet and graphic organizer for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we're gonna take the quiz. Make sure we read all this. Don't just look at the blanks, look over everything.
I'll go first.
Is a land agent appointed by the Mexican government to sell land as a sorry. The United States,
Y'all are
and there is a contract with the Mexican government to settle a certain number of families. Many people are missing from the United States.
Some people were just explaining problems.
Because the United States is
Some people were escaping the problems that we were facing in the United States, Spain, and Mexico. The original plan didn't want foreign years, according to the
they were under contract with Native Americans
This land,
and they needed someone to look at their land.
going to be establishing
Had to become a citizen for your new country, aka Spain, and later make Spain.
farming, they're renting.
Make sure.
You have to accommodate the state of your new country, aka Spain. You have to become that was that's not really a state. No,
That is AKA Spanish.
So I thought the doctor
Look over the years and the towns.
Okay, so you get this one, I get Valerie, there's something
Easy problems. Easy.
should we do this?
Why? Wait, I can say it. I either one or
7 F 1824.
What's my hat down? What side of contact with the government of Mexico ratified where
They were
they promised to
Mary Wyatt and my mother, 1845.
It is the 25, right? The class period.
Yes.
Alright, y'all ready?
No.
Yes.
Alright, Alright, we're gonna start. Alrighty, so everyone put up the organizer and note sheet. You can just put it underneath you.
I'm gonna use it.
Here you put it up. Alrighty, the quiz is going to be mostly multiple choice, and there's a few fill in the blank. Alrighty? Take your time, do your best. Make sure you put your name on it. You can just turn it into me over here. It's alright, I'll get them. so I'll grade these, and then the next time I see y'all, I'll let y'all know how y'all did. But just it was a brief little lesson over what impresarios are, what they did, and who the main people were, and what they contributed to. But I thought y'all did a pretty good job. Y'all were pretty quiet and good for me, so I appreciate that. So I guess the last couple of minutes, just review for your tests y'all have Wednesday. Alrighty, thank y'all.
You're welcome.